Greetings once again, folks, and welcome to yet another session of my Artsy Musings. So we all know it's a portrait if you've been following the past couple of sessions. This is Fynn, and she's a little black panther. We've come quite a way so far, and as I've been explaining during the past two sessions, as opposed to previous portraits of Sage and KitKat, this one, because she's so dark, there's a lot more charcoal work. I'm using my compressed charcoal at the moment just to get the session going. And there's a lot more subtleties of lighting in the undulations of her skin, of her fur, of her pelt, and so yeah, that takes time and building up. So that's what I am busy with. Yesterday we added a little bit of foliage, of the foliage that surrounds her as she sits underneath the hibiscus shrubbery, and she's probably there right now, as she is every day. She always spends her time parking off under this particular shrub, where she can survey the lawn and keep an eye out for lizards and all sorts of whatever moves. So it's quite a laborious task of nothing art is laborious. So that's the wrong expression. It's quite a time-consuming thing, because I have to work these subtleties of lighting up quite slowly and progressively. I suppose I could do it a different way if I chose to. Different technique, where it's far more sketchy, but I want to do this piece more justice than that. Anyway, perhaps another time I'll do something far more loose and rapidly sketched. Who knows? Right now, this is what is being asked for. This is what the artwork. I'm just allowing it to take shape as it will. And that suits me just fine. Just slowly working up some of the little bits of detail of her paws here, and yeah, once again, darkening. I don't want to reach the point of complete blackness, because that would kill the delicacy of contrasting light and shade. Right, I think it's time for a little bit of lilac, sort of lightish lilac, and just to introduce that along this edge of her fur, of her forearm, foreleg and upper foreleg. No, forearm and upper forearm, whatever. Goodness me. Arms, legs, whatever. Just kind of depicting that little slight grin that she always seems to have. Just so there's just a few spots where I want to just bring in a little bit of the lilac and perhaps a little blue, pale blue as well. Just a few spots, and I'm going to obviously be using creative license to a large degree here because I want to accentuate a little more the contrast of her form. So we shall bring this in a little bit more. And of course it's made more subtle by the black. In fact, I'm going to bring in some blue. I really think it's probably worthwhile doing that. Just some pale blue, and of course I'm going to be going over this once again with charcoal and perhaps a little bit of black conte as well. But for now, and perhaps even some white conte, but very subtly. But for now, that's quite nice. Perhaps a little slightly darker. Because there is there's a blueness to her fur, and there's also actually a little bit of rusty red in places, just where her fur catches the light, and I'll try and just bring that in a little bit. Again, this is going to be quite sort of harsh looking at this stage, but I just want to, and it's yeah, when I work with this lilac, especially the slightly darker lilac, it sits nicely on the black, and it just takes the edge off the blackness, but it gives it that slight sheen. That she has. Right, let's bring in some. What should I use? Should I use brown? I don't want to really use brown. Let's use a brick. Let's use a brick coloured, a darkish brick red. And I'll just bring that in slightly here because she does have a little bit of pink on the inside of her ears. It's very subtle. I'll just bring that in slightly here and then go over it with my conte. Just a hint of that there. And then where should I put it? Where should I come in with this? I don't want it to be too much. And so we've got this brick red. It's got quite a lot of magenta in it, so it does complement the what is fairly in the similar spectrum to the lilac and purpley sort of colors, which is great because as opposed to it having too much yellow in it, making it sort of brown, more towards the brown, this is more towards the magenta, the deep dark magenta, and it's almost, well, it's not quite plum, but it's sort of in between plum and peach. So yeah, quite a nice color to bring in, because it just again hints at the perhaps some dappled sunlight that's just catching her as it streams through behind her here. Of course, the light on this side of her in profile, her forearm and up to her shoulder, and then around the leading edge of her face in profile, that's catching the direct skylight. In other words, the blue sky, the sun is shining in from behind her, and then the blue sky, the bowl of blue sky, is what's coming in underneath where she's sitting and casting its light onto her fur. So that's what we're picking up on here. So there's quite a lovely play of light here that is nice when you pick up on it and use it. Yeah, that's quite nice. So instead of having this very dark body, now we've got something to work with here that has this a little bit more substance of color. And as I'm always saying, color, there is color, and there is a full spectrum of color, right from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, right through in everything. In everything that we see, there's a touch of all of those colors. That's what gives us that discernment of color, that spectrum that we human beings have anyway. Other animals have a far wider spectrum. Others have perhaps a narrower spectrum of light that they see and perceive. Some animals perceive light like ultraviolet and infrared that's outside of our possible spectrum. The same goes with sound. You know, many animals, cats included, can perceive sound and smell far more intensely than we can, and a far broader spectrum. So yeah, perhaps we hint at that, you know, in the dark blackness of her fur. Perhaps we can hint at that wonderful spectrum of light, that if we could see perhaps more, then we would perceive these nuances of light slightly differently. Let's just work with that for now, because that's going quite well. And of course, now we build again with our Conte, and I have no idea what time I started this session. I have no idea. I forgot to set my clock. So I'm going to just have to wing it. Let me see if I can see if it's showing up on the camera what the time is. Forgive me. 14 minutes. Okay. So we've been going for nearly 15 minutes. So that gives us so 5, 10, 15, and we'll go for. Okay, so we got another half hour to go. Oh dear me. trials and tribulations of third world video recording. The poor man's studio. Right. Nevertheless, it's not about the technology. It's about the content, isn't it? Ah, dear me. Anywho. Right, so getting a little bit, using a little bit more pressure here with my compressed charcoal, because now I can start to build this. I've got this lovely graphic quality as a basis in charcoal, and now I can start to slowly build up the. I've got these lovely highlights, so now I need to be able to darken a bit. Now I can really give it some stick, and always trying to follow, seeking to follow her form, the contours of her form, of her musculature. I wonder if I could just bring in my, yeah, I'm going to just start using my black Conte now. Now, black, these Conte crayons are a different makeup and consistency or different density rather, to compressed charcoal and of course to charcoal as well. But they really work well together because this is quite dense as opposed to the compressed charcoal, which is a little bit soft, and then the normal charcoal, which is much softer again. Just like your soft pastels, the soft pastels versus Conte also, why I like to use the two whites, because the density of the charcoal versus at least the pastel versus the Conte crayon, there's quite a lot more. The Conte crayon is quite a lot more dense, so you get a more delicate application. So I can use more line here than with the softness of pastel. I can slowly now work this up quite well. Slowly, but slowly work it rapidly. So I can work this, I can work these, now that I've got this lovely depth of color and texture and balance of light and what have you, the darkness of the charcoal and the compressed charcoal combined, I've got that basis to work on. Now I can build on that with my black Conte and really work up the little darker areas without it becoming too black, if you know what I'm saying. Nevertheless, still quite a slow process, isn't it? I think what I shall do is I will leave the eye and the foliage and a few other details for our final session. The next session. So please make sure to stay tuned in if you want to catch the the completion of this piece. It's an interesting one, especially for me as the bus driver, because as I've been saying all along now, you know, it's been fascinating for me, because aside the structure of the composition and the layout, etc., and the pose and all of that sort of stuff, the fact that there's such a vast difference in color between Fynn and Sage being white, predominantly white, and KitKat being sort of in between midtones, whereas Fynn is black. So, you know, it's interesting to see how techniques play a role here in an application of the different mediums that I'm using, that I'm employing to build this up slowly. Whereas with the much lighter colorings of Sage, for example, very little is needed. Very little was needed in terms of shading and what have you, and the subtle differences between white and just off-white was quite easy to achieve. Here it's a bit more difficult because it needs to be slowly built up without going into overkill, where I've got too much, it's too dark, and there's not enough disparity between light and shade, and these little subtleties of her fur. Now so it's quite fun in that respect as well, because I'm finding it different, and I like different. I always do. I always like something different and something a little bit more challenging. So yeah, this is quite a challenge. Fantastic. I'm loving it. I might even venture in with some at least some white conte, just with these little flecks of light. I don't know, let's see. Right, let's go work up here a little bit now. You know, I've been doing this for so long now, and I've got, I don't know how many videos. I think I've got about 260 something maybe videos, YouTube videos on my channel now. And you know, I sometimes get interrupted. Sometimes the camera overheats. Today was it's happened before, where I forgot to set my timer, to set the clock to keep an eye on my progress and the time I'm spending, so that I'm within the 45 minutes that I give myself. You know, otherwise it's very easy to kind of just get completely absorbed in the process and lose all track of time. So I kind of I've got a big clock here and I've got a little piece of Pristic, just to notch off the time, a bit like a diver's watch, but yeah. So anyway, today I forgot to do that when I started my session, so I did lose track of time, and then 15 minutes in realized that I'm missing something here. There we go. There's a little ear. Other little ear that I can just work up here. But as I said, it's not about those things. In fact, I always feel that it makes it more real when I have these little challenges and things to keep an eye on and what have you, as opposed to this very formal setup. Everything is absolutely crisp and clear and filtered and lighting and all of that stuff. Yeah, you're not getting any of that. And I think it makes it more authentic for it. So yeah. So, as I always make mention of, if you have anything to share, if you'd like to comment, please do so. If you have anything to say about what I've said, about what I'm doing, then please do so. It's always a help to me, because number one, I enjoy receiving comment and I enjoy engaging with you guys, but and secondly, it also helps my channel. It helps to grow my channel. A little bit of interest and a little bit of so I always appreciate the comments that I do receive from you. Really means a great deal, and I always will engage with you. I always will respond. So I'm not one to kind of just ignore comments. I will always respond. So if you do have something to add or to contribute or to share with me, please do. Most welcome. You know, where Sage's nose was very sort of quite pinkish and quite stand-outy, Sage is all black. Everything about her is just black, 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 black. I mean Fynn, yeah. So yes, I'm glad I did put that lilac down because now when I work over it in black, it really sets a really lovely undertone of color, and just helps with the form of the piece, which is lovely. So once I've actually completed as far as I possibly can with with all this darkness, I'll then work over it with these little flecks of light catching fur, and that will hopefully bring about a little dance of color, a little dance of contrast to the artwork as a whole. Let's see how that goes. Slow, 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 however, in the meantime. Yes, but I'm sure that you can see, if you've been watching these sessions, you can see how very different it is, the working of it, how very different it is from other pieces, from the previous two portraits. Goodness gracious me, yeah. So just using my lilac to go around and get some little bit of highlighty, sort of, not even highlights, no highlights really, but just to bring it, work up the form of this piece of them. It's quite nice because it actually gives it that sort of slightly silvery essence to her fur, and it even enhances the darkness of it actually, or the appearance of darkness. Right, back to our compressed charcoal once more. Tell you what though, let's bring in a little bit of, let's bring in some dark blue, sort of indigo. Let's see how that works for me. Yes, I think this will work quite nicely, thank you. You won't even be able to discern it, I'm sure, on the video. However, what it is doing is just giving me a little range, a little slightly better range of form. Yes, that's what I need. That's it. That's it. So now that I've got a lovely basis of the charcoal work, I can work over this whole piece in this indigo blue. That just gives it more body, enhances the variety of the spectrum of hue, Huey Lewis in the News, and yes, just gives it more volume, gives it more depth of field and all that sort of thing as well. Enhances the black, in fact, gives it that slightly blue sheen. Kind of draws the eye as well, which is quite nice, because you see this very subtle shift in coloration, coloring, colorimetry, colorism. Color dynamic. Yeah, that works for me. I don't think I've ever used this particular blue pastel quite so much. It's actually quite a hard, I don't generally like it. It's quite a hard pastel. It's not, it's supposed to be a soft pastel, and it's not. It's actually quite hard. I don't like that usually in a pastel, but I'm gonna say it's part of a range of pastels that I use, that I frequently use. Yeah, so Toison d'Or, whatever that is. I don't even know if my French is non-existent. So I'm kind of trying to work with it phonetically. So I don't know. My pronunciation might be completely off. Anyway, but you tell me if you're a French-speaking person. I don't know if you can see what that says. There, I know it'll be out of focus, of course, because I've set focus. Whatever. You get my drift. I really want to be using my Conte here. See, her back leg just sits, just the kind of the knee area just sits there. Yes, we're getting there. Most definitely. Quite liking the way this is turning out. The little subtleties of form really coming out quite strongly here. Yeah, this eye I shall work on much more closely tomorrow during our final session. Ah, yeah, that's going to come out quite nicely, I reckon. I do. I do. Couple of minutes left now that I managed to create by setting the clock. It's so very easy to just press on through with these because I get quite excited about, as you can perhaps tell, I get quite excited about kind of how it comes together, what shows up for me, what, you know, it's always a that's, you see now, some lovely line work I think in the final session, that will just lovely loose line work that can just go over the whole surface, because now we'll have this lovely basis of form, and we can just trail around, doodle around with the whole shape of her face and her body, and even in the foliage behind with these little doodles, and then soften them and smudge them, and it just will add so much flavor to her form. Yeah, that I'm looking forward to. You see, now this is where I can start to get carried away and lose complete track of time. Yeah, and definitely going to be employing a little bit of my white Conte as well. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a lovely loose session. It's, as we finish off this piece. Yeah. Yes, indeedy. Oh, yes, indeedy. Let's just bring in a little bit more shadow down here between her legs. Enhance that further. Also, during the last session, in this foreground area, she's just lying in the sand under the hibiscus, and in this sort of dappled light, and there's sort of twigs and bits of grass and what have you at your feet. Alright, I'm done, folks, for now. Yes, I'm taking on some good form here today. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the session, guys. If you're newly happed upon my channel, then excuse me, welcome. Hope you enjoy what you see and hear. And if you do, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon, and like and share and comment, etc. And also thanks to you guys who do follow my work, my existing subscribers. Thank you very much. I always appreciate you. So yeah, until the final session, I bid you oodles and oodles of toodles, and in the meantime, be good, be kind, be gentle, be caring, be loving, etc., etc. So yeah, take it easy, folks. Have a good one, and catch you again the next time. Bye. And don't forget to doodle.